chances that I missed. Some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Times gone by, I've traded like blood into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, good morning. As I said to my friends in the room, let's get the show on the road. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm the Eternal LaVern. And yes, this is One Street Over. Ridgetop Ramblers singing us in. Always highly appropriate because we love them. And they're part of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. And so are the folks that are in the room with me right now. Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. And one of our original sponsors here at One Street Over, and we love y'all so much. We thank you so much. And love that you got me involved in the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. That's how we met.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd heard you on the radio
Yeah, right.
for years and years and years,
Right.
but we never had met in person. So
And you guys called me and said, hey, we're going to host this festival up in Cross Plains, and would you be a part of it? And not knowing that I don't know a lot about it. When I tell people I'm a big bluegrass fan, they start asking me questions.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, don't ask me
Don't
a lot
ask
of
me
questions.
questions. But I love it because I grew up with it. I'm from because it's our culture
yeah,
here.
absolutely.
And as a little kid, I sang bluegrass. I mean, I have like a handful of songs that I can wail on, that I've known since I was a little big kid. And some of them, one of them I learned from Andy Griffith, Time to Wonder with the Darlings. I love that song. I heard her sing that and I had to learn it. So I have my staples, my bluegrass staples in Slewfoot. Sing that with my grandkids all the time. They love it. They have their line, shoot them in the bottom just to listen to them. Part, that's their part. And so they're like, Mama, let's sing our song. We want to do our part. And they only want to do the verse where you shoot them in the bottom because that's their line. But anyway, so I love bluegrass, but I'm not, deep in it to where I can tell you the history and all of those things. But I always love the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival because some of the best people you would ever want to meet. Just awesome. I mean, it's just good stuff.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
good stuff.
Absolutely. And I was listening when you had Cutter and Cash on recently talking about the festival, and they touched on some, and to be so young and be able to rattle it off, but they talked about the European influences, the African influences, and that's a great thing about it. Like you said, you don't have to know every song. It's not like you're going to a rock concert and you've got to listen to the album before you go. It's you're hearing the instrument, you're hearing somebody's interpretation of a song that maybe they've known all their life, or maybe they just learned last week, or maybe it is a song that because it was interpreted from another genre. So it's something for everybody. It really is a lot of fun.
And I loved it. Cutter's the oldest one, right?
I can't keep track of that. Why are you asking me these questions?
I think it's Cutter's the oldest one. They're going to be at Kilgore.
Yes, absolutely.
Going to be at the festival.
Yes,
so we're
they will.
super excited about that. But he was talking about the African influence of the banjo.
Oh yeah,
and then Danny Ashley was in talking about the banjo that David has given to the historical.
Yes, David was telling me about that.
That is cool, and it's one he bought from a little African American lady. I want to say in Nashville, but it's very, very old. And
we'll have to get him to tell us the whole story of that, because he was sharing it with me recently, and I didn't realize he had already made that contribution. So that's outstanding for Danny to be able to tell us about that.
I'm pretty sure he has. Now, I don't know that it's in their hands yet.
Okay,
but if it's not,
but they're talking about it. That's great. That's excellent.
That's cool. But anyway, so as I called Barry and I said, hey, you guys need to get in here because you've done a name change. And I think people need to go, okay, what? What does that mean? What is that all about? So I wanted y'all to come in and explain that. But we also, we're to that point. We need to be talking about the Kilgore Station.
Sure, absolutely.
Save the date. It's the 17th and 18th of May, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
I always remember because y'all have done it on my granddaughter's birthday now.
Yeah.
But we're good. I talked to my daughter-in-law this weekend. And she said that they ended up getting frozen tickets for the actual birthday.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, that means the birthday party will be on Sunday.
Oh, I see.
I'm like, good job.
Good job.
And see, now next year, because I just knew I was going to be out part of Saturday. I figured
because you were expecting to have a birthday.
Yeah. But now next year, her birthday will be on Sunday. We should be safe. We should be
absolutely.
safe. So, whew. Because I was like, when y'all put that on that weekend, I'm like, oh, y'all killing me.
Maybe there'll be another springtime event for them to buy tickets for on that Saturday, so there won't be any danger of that.
Well, you know, when you got a little kid and the actual birthday falls on a weekend, if Saturday or Sunday, that's usually, so I think next year it'll be on Sunday.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. And they usually, they know my schedule's really crazy, so they usually check in with me and like, okay. Because, I mean,
yeah, you might be in Mexico or something like that.
As a matter of fact, I get back the day before my oldest grandson's birthday in July. So I told her this weekend, I was like, don't do this party on Saturday. We'll be in the air.
I'm sure all the
flying
planes will be on time that weekend. So.
Do what?
Well, I'm sure all the planes will be running on time that weekend.
Don't even start with that. We don't think about that. We're talking with Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Prime Realty. Explain that to us, okay? So I get an email from you. What, last week?
Yeah, okay. I said here's a name change. It's effective February 1st.
And I was real proud of myself that I did not forget that. And I made myself 2 or 3 notes to make sure when I did your ad, right out of the gate, I had it.
Yeah.
So I think I even teased it on Friday before it changed.
What's interesting about Exit Realty and its growth over the last 25 plus years is one of the very first franchises for Exit in Tennessee was in White House. And it was Wayne Belcher started Exit. At that time, it was Exit Elite Realty. And that's where Rebecca started in 2007. 2007. And Wayne did a fine job building that up. Of course, she went right through, the worst real estate market, but came out on the other side of it. And parallel to that, Derek Miller had purchased a real estate company in Portland that had been around forever. The Kellys had started it years before Exit Garden Gate Realty. Okay. And so he had, after Wayne had started Exit, he started Exit franchise in Portland. Then ultimately he bought that franchise in White House as well, and then continued to expand. And so what has happened this past week is the Robertson County offices for Exit Realty have been spun off from that company to become Exit Prime Realty. So our former company, Exit Realty Garden Gate team, they still have their offices in Portland, Gallatin, and Rebecca and I both work at their office in Franklin, Kentucky. So technically we've got 2 sets of signs and 2 sets of business cards.
Oh, funny.
But our Robertson County offices are now Exit Prime Realty, and that's White House, which has been around since 2006, and our Springfield office that we just opened this past year. So we're excited. We've got, but as I mentioned, we've got new business cards on the way. We're reprinting signs. We're keeping the sign businesses in business.
We're helping the economy.
We're helping the economy.
So funny. Well, and also too, you're new as a broker.
Yes.
I know this, but explain that to our listeners. What happened with you being a broker?
Well, every office, every real estate office has a principal broker. It doesn't matter if it's a big office or a little office. And that's one thing we like to stress when we're recruiting agents. There are, because of the deregulation in the real estate industry, we work with some agents from time to time. For instance, I know an agent whose broker is in Knoxville. And that's a long way off. That's an agent, that's a broker that's not involved in the Middle Tennessee market, doesn't know the peculiarities, because there's a lot of differences between markets. There's differences really between Clarksville and Nashville, for that matter, in the customs and the way things are handled and the expectations of negotiating. And so when I'm recruiting somebody to be a new agent, I'll say, I love you to work with us if you're a good fit, but if not, look for a broker you can count on, especially when you're getting started out, because if your broker is on the other end of the state and is supervising 100-something agents, your expectations need to be pretty low as far as what they're going to do to support you. Again, every office has a broker, and in Tennessee, you can only have one broker. A broker can only be the broker for one office. So I am the broker for Springfield. That means the agents under me, I supervise them. I'm accountable for what they do. I've got great agents, but I want to make sure everything's taken care of. Jennifer Moss is the broker in White House, and she has been in it for many years. She was in real estate. She recruited you, and she was in real estate before 2006. But she supervises the agents there, and the company we came from, again, I don't think any office ever had more than 35 people in a single office. So it allows for the broker to do a good job supervising what's going on as they're required to by law, but also being there to answer questions and to help out when there's a crisis. So.
Okay. And it's just, because I'm fascinated by it, and I've got a lot of friends that have, that are in real estate, and understanding that broker, because when you said you were broker, I kind of assumed that Rebecca was too, and you're like, no, she's an agent.
I'm an affiliate broker.
That's in Tennessee, that's her license, is affiliate broker.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, so what's, I kind of understand the difference, but I don't know that I really do.
Well, most real estate agents that you see are affiliate brokers. That's the license you get, and there's really only two types of licenses. There's the affiliate broker and there's the broker, as far as most real estate that takes place in Tennessee. And you can have a broker's license, which requires more education, requires you to have a minimum amount of experience before you get it. But the significant part of that comes into play when you are the principal broker of an office, because you're responsible for the work that you do, but you're also responsible for the agents who are on the roster under your name. Right. So if one of my agents did something that wasn't correct, was contrary to the regulations, they're held responsible, but so am I. So I have an obligation not only to, rubber stamp what they push across my desk, but to, look over their shoulder, make sure they know what's going on, and that there aren't any questions in any of the dealings of what's going on. That goes for every real estate office has a principal broker who's responsible for everything going on in that office.
Okay, and it's a big mentorship. I mean, that's one.
It is to a great extent, and we like it to be. Some real estate companies, they don't really see it that way, but that's the way we practice in Exit Prime Realty. It is a mentorship. There's an expectation that those agents are going to be involved in the office, giving us an opportunity to teach them the best way to do real estate, not only from a customer service standpoint, but from a legal standpoint too. And that's something we try to, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the way Exit is structured. We have a program put together where we're recruiting agents and creating a relationship that allows us to mentor them to ensure that they're gonna be successful in their real estate career.
So with that in mind, I know maybe about a year ago when the market was just so hot, I think you had more people kind of going, hey, maybe I need to look into this.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that's kind of tapered off a little bit, where people are not quite as wanting to jump into the pool. It has, and what we've seen a lot of those agents that just got into it, go back to whatever it is they were doing before. A lot of licenses lapsing. At the end of the year, when it comes time to write a big check to continue your membership in the board. Right. We've seen some consolidation, some offices where they would close a branch that they're just not as busy with, and consolidate agents to another city. We've seen a couple of brokerages recently where they've shuttered their brick and mortar
And they said, well, why should we pay rent? We only have a handful of agents. They can work from home, sort of thing.
Right.
And that's something that we're happy that we aren't in that position. All of our offices and the offices of the company we were associated with previously, brick and mortar offices in nice places where people can come and meet with agents and have an experience that gives you a little bit of confidence that we're here to stay and that we're here for the long term.
Well, like you said, you've been around forever. I mean, it just seems like I've always heard of Exit Realty, and
I like hearing that.
Truly. I mean, you've just seen it everywhere.
Well, they've saturated the market because when we got in, when Wayne bought in 2006, she was one of the first in the Southeast. Mm-hmm. But now, how many states?
Oh, again, don't ask me these questions I don't know answers to. But huge in Florida, huge in Texas, nationwide, and in Canada. Yeah, that's one unique thing about Exit. It is.
Really?
It actually started in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was an executive from another big real estate company who said, "I've got some ideas of how to do this differently," and it really succeeded based on that concept.
Well, and that was one of the things that drew you to Exit Realty, is because when you were looking at going into real estate, you had said you looked at Exit and the benefits and the way they structured it was that structure.
Yeah, and I think it was not just the recruiting part of it, but having that mentorship, thought process.
Right.
Because when you get your license, you go through the class, the bare minimum, and you're going to be handling very important investments, and it's a big undertaking, and I wanted to make sure I had the guidance. And when I went into the Exit office, I could just tell that, hey, this is the place to be. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's good to have a broker. There's always been a broker at our Exit office. Mm-hmm. Now, they're there at the office or they're a phone call away. As you get more experience, that's not as important. But when it is important, she's there, because even after doing this 16, 17 years, every deal is different. You like to be able to bounce off what's going off with somebody else, and they provide that for you.
Okay, so it's been about 16, 17 years. I think I had you about 18 years.
See,
not quite. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Well, and when I do y'all's ad, I'm always talking about y'all being Cross Plainians. How many years have you been in Cross Plains? 27, 28?
Oh, 28 this year.
28, I think, isn't it?
It was 19. It was Labor Day, 1995.
Okay.
29.
Yeah, y'all got here just behind us, because we got here in the fall of 92 into Robertson County, and it's home. We love it.
Oh yeah.
And but yeah, y'all, everybody likes me calling y'all Cross Plainians, and you're so involved in the community. That's what I love about you guys, is because y'all are sponsoring stuff. I see your signs everywhere and things like that. And that just, you make an investment in the community. I love what happens out at Kilgore. I love all the things that you guys are involved with out there. You're there during 4th of July, all the things. So it's just a lot of fun. It's fun being a part of a community.
Absolutely.
You guys definitely are. But, so what does... And this is just, they're one of our sponsors, and I just want to remind you guys, if you want to contact them, you need to just, remember they've got the name change now. You can, and I've been telling people, just Google you. Rebecca Richards.
Still works pretty well.
Exit Prime Realty, Barry Richards, Exit Prime Realty, and you'll get to all of their, they each have unique web pages. They have their social media accounts. You're going to see that they work with historical properties. You're going to see the background about Barry with his media. His media marketing background that's just priceless. If you're trying to sell property and you need videography, if you need the when you came in and did those little walkthrough tour show with our kiddos.
Oh yeah.
So they thought that was so cool. And you got to bring the indoor drone back.
Yes.
They thought that was the coolest thing ever. And and just when you can do those kinds of things, and then you've got Rebecca as one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist, all the things that you need. Here you go, guys. All you got to do is just reach out to him. Google him. What's your phone number, Rebecca? I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, it's 615-504-7425.
Do it again.
615-504-7425.
Can we still get you with sellwithbecky.com or
absolutely.
buy robertsouncounty.com? Does all that still work? And you still specialize in Robertson County properties, but you also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state.
Absolutely.
Because you were talking about the uniqueness of the Clarksville market versus this market.
Yeah.
And when you cross that state line, you have to think about how things change. And there's an income tax, a state income tax in Kentucky. that is, affect you if you live there. So you just need to keep all that in mind. But as we continue on, I want to talk about what's happened because I have a son down in Alabama. He would love to buy a house. He doesn't. He goes, I'll never be able to buy a house in this market.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, I know. It's like so, and he has a significant other now, and I believe they'll be getting married eventually. I don't know, but I think in their mind they would like to get a home and things like that. I said, well, you can always move up here and build right there on my property, but his career is going to probably keep him down there. I mean. Sure. What do you guys see for the real estate market right now? Do you have where are our interest rates right now? What would you, tell somebody that's, I know some friends that they've kind of want to get a new piece of property because maybe they've outgrown their house, but they're like, I'd be stupid to let go of this one. I probably need to rent it and get something else. Put your finger on the pulse of the real estate market for me. Wise one.
Several things going
Wise
on there.
Ones. Yeah. What would you say?
Well, interest rates is in front of everybody's mind.
Right.
And that's what we were talking about on the way here.
Yeah.
And everybody's asking when it's going to come back down again. I don't think it's ever going to come back down to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But we heard who was it?
Well, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, was on 60 Minutes last night.
Oh.
They met this week, and a week ago we were all kind of thinking, are we going to see an interest rate drop? Because it was very unusual. He made an announcement before Christmas that we're going to be meeting. We expect to drop the rates in 2024. I think he said several times, but that they did not drop the rates this past week. And the interview on 60 Minutes, Jerome Powell said, we're going to meet again in 7 weeks, and I don't think we're going to drop the rates then either.
Really?
Yeah.
The next meeting for the Fed will be in May. He didn't guarantee anything, but he gave the impression that, they might consider a rate drop. And as Scott Pelley kind of interjected there, it'll be a quarter, a half at the most, probably. Again, we don't have a crystal ball. But the feature on 60 Minutes was, of course, very complimentary because we avoided a recession, and employment is up. And inflation is on a downward trajectory.
Doesn't feel that way.
and they touch on that too. They talk about how prices of goods that you buy
right
like at the grocery store prices went up.
They talked about that in the story. I'd encourage you to go watch it because he said, the Fed chair said, the price of goods is not going to go back down because, that's how it works. Once they get you to pay a higher price. Now, he said things that are a commodity, like your bread, your gas, things that are fed by a large market and that are, transitory, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct word. Those prices will, so maybe your price of eggs and bread will fall back down, but the price of your razor, the price of your shampoo, probably not going to be a big drop in prices for that because that's the way inflation works. It brings those prices up and they stay that way. As I drove through the square in Springfield this morning, I glanced at the historic sign alongside the extension office. And it talks about in 1798, they divided up the tracts around downtown Springfield. They sold those tracts for $8 a piece. So we're not going to get back to those prices. And we're not going to get back to the prices we had 5 years ago. I talked to so many people over the last couple of years who said, I'm waiting for the crash. That's when I'm going to buy real estate. Well, 2 things. We don't expect a crash. We don't hope to have a crash. I'm not going to say there might not be one. But why do you think you'll be able to buy real estate if the economy crashes? What position are you personally going to be in?
Have you got some stash in there?
Are you hoarding gold or something? And that's the realistic thing about it is, yes, we do anticipate some interest rate drops, and that'll make it more affordable because that directly impacts your ability to buy on what your payment's going to be. The thing that we want to remind people of is the longer you wait, if you're waiting to sell, for instance, the longer you wait, the more interest you're paying on your current mortgage, the more you're paying, the cost of keeping up that house. Yes, you might make a little more money when there's more competition, but there's going to be more competition for sellers too. So if you're a seller, if you want to go on the market now, there's still a low inventory of houses. A lot of that's driven by interest rates. So you don't have a lot of competition on the market if you list now. If the interest rates go back down a little bit further, we're going to have more buyers in the market. That is going to mean more competition for those sellers' houses, but there's going to be more sellers.
Okay.
The flip side of that is if you're a buyer and you are going to wait for the interest rates to go down, when those interest rates go down, the buyers are going to come and you're going to have more competition. I'll say, especially for buyers right now, it's a really good time to look at houses with the anticipation that if the interest rates drop substantially, and talk to your lender about what works for you, but you're going to be able to refinance.
Right.
Like I said, Jennifer says, marry the house, not the rate.
Yeah.
So go ahead and get that house.
Yeah.
And then when the rates drop, refinance then. So
but buying now when there's so little competition out there compared to what's going to happen
get it at a better
in May.
price.
Yeah.
Sellers are a lot more open to being negotiable on terms and being negotiable maybe on helping you with your closing costs and things like that. So I would especially encourage buyers, but I would also encourage sellers to consider selling, because when the rates drop, there'll be more houses on the market. There'll be more competition that you'll be up against for your house.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that my son that lives out in Mount Juliet, they had a house come up in the neighborhood that they just wanted to live in because there was other family members there. It's, it's where they want to raise their family. Their interest rate was not awesome, but that's what they did. They went in and they got the house, kind of like you said, they wanted the house.
Yeah.
So, and anticipating those interest rates are going to come down and then they can refinance. So,
yeah.
I was glad to, I would rather than be in Robertson County, but let's just be real. But it's a fascinating thing when you really study it. Part of me, just really wish about 20 years ago that one of us, my husband or I, had gotten involved in real estate, because I think we would have really enjoyed it. And I think we would have been good at it. And now in our 60s, it's like, do you have people that come in and they're at our age and say, I think I want to do this and learn about it? How difficult is it for somebody? Not me, and I'm not saying that we're interested.
Let's recruit LaVern.
No. My husband would be excellent at it. No doubt.
I would encourage anybody that's thinking about real estate, come talk to us, and don't hesitate to go talk to some other offices around your area where you live, where you're comfortable working, and just pick their brains and ask them about it and find, because it does take a certain mindset. You are self-employed, so you've got to be a self-starter. Nobody's going to call you up and say you've got to go shake the bushes to find listings, to find buyers. But if you don't, you're not going to make any money. That's what it boils down to. But a lot of it, I think Becky can talk about her background in healthcare. That's lent a whole lot to what she does in real estate.
Yeah, because I always wondered, because I started when I was 41, I guess, in real estate.
That's right.
Somewhere in my 40s. It's all so blurred now. But I always think, I wish I'd done this, 20 years earlier.
Right.
But then I wonder, too, would I have had the skill set of working with all different types of people? Because we're in healthcare, and that's just it. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to get into it. We have some agents that do it part-time and have a full-time job. And then when they retire from their full-time job, they've got their feet wet in it. They just they love it so much. They still have the energy. They don't want to totally retire. And so they go ahead and up their real estate business.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working for them. So.
And let me just say, my husband and I are thrilled to be teaching. We're not looking for his career. But I just
don't need something
that,
doing weekends, do you?
Yeah, no. Well, we're both in education programs and all that, and we absolutely love what we do. But I think it would have been a good fit for either one of us early on. And I don't. Once we get done with our education programs, would we entertain it part-time? Maybe.
Yeah.
But we've got to finish our education programs. And he and I both we love teaching. Love it. But we're going to have summers off.
It is a challenge. We do see a lot of people come in and want to do part-time.
Yeah.
And it is a challenge.
I would imagine.
Because the buyer that wants to work with you, they may not want to work around your schedule.
Yeah.
But again, we've got an environment in our offices where we've got a lot of agents who have, different schedules that can work with you. So if you're going to work with a buyer, maybe you share them with another agent so that your schedules can make it work for them. But it's not, like Becky says, not impossible. And we have several agents who have jobs where their target is, someday I'm going to do real estate full time. Right now, I'm doing it as much as I can. Right. And the nice thing about that is, the longer you're in it, the more exposure you're going to get to different things, different markets. For instance, anybody, even if they were only in it part time, just in 2007 and 2008, or if you were just in it part-time for the last 5 years, just imagine the different markets that you've seen now and know kind of how to anticipate the next one. What was, hard for a lot of agents is they got in during a really hot seller's market in the last a couple of years. And then when that market starts to evolve back to where we are now, it was completely foreign to them, where we've been through those cycles in our career. So it's not a shock to us. We know what's coming down the road, and we know the work that needs to be done to prepare not only ourselves for it, but our buyers and sellers for it, helping them look at their long-term goals. One thing, when I'm showing somebody a house, I show so many houses to people, and they say, this is my forever home. This is the last house I'm ever going to buy. And I'll say, I understand that, and I hope that's the case. But let's talk about resale. Let's talk about what's going to be hard to sell, just in case. Yeah. What's going to be a challenge to resell this house down the road, and what are the things that once you buy it, you'll want to do to improve your investment, so that you've got more equity in a great home, even if you don't sell it. You might want to reverse mortgage it someday, or get a HELOC. Let's have you in a house that has the most value for you as a place to live and as an investment.
So explain, since you mentioned those two words, tell people what we're talking with Barry and Rebecca Richards and the Exit Prime Realty. They have a new name.
Thank you.
They have a new name. And, but you mentioned HELOC, which is a
home equity line of credit.
And my kid mentioned that to me the other day, and I'm like, what is, and then because I was like, I've never heard it called HELOC. The home equity line of credit.
And you'll occasionally hear a HEAL too, which is a home equity loan. So in other words, let's say you're going to buy some investment property, and you've got $200,000 of equity in your home. Your lender, and our local banks here in the community, Farmers Bank, Volunteer State Bank, the local brick and mortar banks are the best ones to go to for that. Your mortgage brokers, few of them have products that'll do that for you. So go to your bank where you keep your money, and talk to them about those products. They're not going to loan you 100% of your equity, right? But they'll loan you maybe 75-80% of it, and you can take it out as a loan, where it's a one-time. We're going to give you a check for this amount and this whole amount. You might get a little bit better interest rate that way, and you turn around and invest in what you need. Or you can get a line of credit where they say, here's the equity you have, and take it when you need it. We're not going to start charging you interest until you take it, but those interest rates are going to fluctuate.
Right. That adjustable rate.
Yeah.
It can be wonderful or can be difficult.
Well, and when you take the money out, that's when the rate is set for that piece of the money. And then you pay it back, over time. They have different structures for that. But, again, one of the first things they teach you in real estate school is, don't talk about things you don't know 100% about. So I always say, talk to your lender and find out the details of that.
Enough to be dangerous.
But it is a good tool for people that are interested in investing, maybe because the nice thing about it is, if you've got good credit, even if you've already got a mortgage, you might qualify to invest in some rental property, for instance. That's something we've talked a lot about recently. And if I've got enough equity to have a 20% down on something that I'm going to maybe fix and flip, or I'm going to rent out, then that gives you, that's a great tool to have, and take advantage of those mortgages that allow you to buy things with just a little bit down, and then potentially either create an income stream, in some cases a passive income stream, or a reward at the end if you're, going to do a fix and flip, or even if you just fix it and hold it for a few years.
Okay. I mean, my kids are all like, y'all need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm like, stop. But I get so much advice from my
I think the thing to realize is,
and they're wonderful, but I'm like, stop.
Your equity's growing in your house, and that is benefiting you. How
much equity you have.
But and if you borrow against it, you're going to pay interest.
Yeah.
So it's not free if you borrow against it, but it continues to grow, and that's a good thing to have.
It's a good thing to use if you're investing in more property, investing in the long term. I wouldn't get a home equity loan and buy a car.
Don't buy
that.
That's the thing. I could see taking some equity out and buying some rental property.
Yeah. Or improving your property, or improving what you have, taking
Right.
care of what you have. Because we see that a lot where people will have investment properties and they don't put money back into them.
Yeah.
And then, that's, you got to protect your investment. And part of that is taking care of the maintenance. And if you're short on the money, you do that.
And talk to your accountant. There may be a tax incentive for using, regarding the interest you're paying on that home equity loan or line of credit, if you use it for improvements on that house.
Okay.
But again, talk to your accountant.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've been having conversations with them because it's about that time to get those papers. Okay, now you mentioned another type of loan. You said the HELOC. What was the one that you
I said something about a reverse mortgage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
how do those work?
Well, you see those ads on
I know,
TV
you see
all
them,
the
Tom
time.
Selleck or whoever,
whoever.
nowadays is like, I think he does one, but so that basically is you're turning your equity into a source of income, and some of those, and again, talk to your lender, but some of those are tied into an insurance product too, because they have to look at how long are you going to be alive. Yeah, it's like how much
statistically speaking, but create a stream of income for you. Based on the equity of your home. So the lender can look and say, well, we expect you to live this long, and here's how much equity you have. We can set it up where you're going to get a check because the equity continues to grow. So they're banking against that the equity of your home is going to continue to grow, and they can use their magic to create a formula where you're going to get a consistent stream of income from that over years. So it creates an annuity, but it's based on the equity in your home that'll allow you to stay in your home until you either pass away or can no longer stay in your home. Once you're no longer in the home, then that's when they sell the home and they cash out on that equity. Right. So it's not without, let's say we get a home equity loan and one of our kids moves in with us and we both pass, or not a home equity loan, but a reverse mortgage. Well, then those kids need to find a place to go because once we're gone, the house is gone too. So people need to understand all the rules and guidelines of but for some people, it's a good thing to consider because it might be a great way to stay in your home, but not have to worry about how you're going to take care of it over the years.
Interesting. I mean, there's all kinds of options. And that's one thing. I had somebody that, I don't personally know them, but some friends of a friend that is in a situation where they're about to get foreclosed on. And I just recently heard about this. And I remember you saying something about how that don't get to that point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Call a realtor.
Yeah.
Because it might be that you can sell the home outright and at least not be upside down on it and have some options to where you're not just losing the property.
Absolutely.
But when is it too late? Because, I mean, from the sounds of it, this person is just a couple of weeks from being evicted.
Well, it's probably not too late if it's a couple of weeks. Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, Becky can comment on this. She's had a situation.
Now, because I've had it where, it's going to be happening the next few weeks,
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can go ahead and get permission to talk to their lender, and we put a halt. They pause the foreclosure and tell them, we're going to list the house. And a lot of times if because at the end of the day, it's going to bring more if you list it.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than let it go on the courthouse steps. And get them a little bit more equity because all the bank wants is what's on the mortgage. And was the market the way it has been for the past 2 or 3 years where the prices of homes shot up, there's probably equity in your house that they're unaware of, and you'll get more of a payoff if you'll let us get it out there to the masses and have people, offering on your house.
Well, I'll reach out to them because, and again, it's a friend of a friend, and they put something up where they're doing like a GoFundMe, trying to help the person out. And, and that's one thing when you were talking about employment and all this kind of stuff, because apparently I think there was a job loss and they just haven't been able to find another one and got behind. And I thought, man, that sounds classic to what you guys were talking about, where somebody just, it just starts snowballing.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, I wonder if they've thought about listing the house. Yeah. And so I'll reach out to my friend today, because I just heard about this a couple of days ago.
And we've had situations too where we talk to the lender and realize there's some way for them to stay in the house, maybe through a loan restructuring, loan modification
or something.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Because a lot of times I think people get in that position, and it's understandable. You just freeze because you get so scared.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, they're embarrassed, but it's just like life happens. You can't control, getting sick or losing a job, and it just snowballs. But we'd love to try to help them, and give them some options. Another thing too, if you can sell it, or even if you can short sell it, we're not seeing so much of those. That happened.
What is a short sale?
Short sale was what was going on in 2008 and 9 when the market crashed, when, the values of homes were just, overinflated, or they borrowed too much on them, and people were upside down in their house, and then they couldn't afford the payment, and so they owed more on it than what it was worth. We don't see that so much now at all, but if that is the situation, they can short sell the home too. It's still a thing on their credit, but that's another thing. If you get with a realtor, just trying to save their credit score, because if you have a foreclosure on your record, and then, if we can avoid that, that's the best case scenario. That way, when they get that job back, or they start getting a better financial position, they'll be able to purchase again sooner than later.
Right.
And that's another thing, because what's the foreclosure? If you have that, is it?
It's several years. A short sale is when the lender agrees to take less than what you owe.
Okay.
Now, they may have a right to come and collect that, what they were shorted, so you need to understand exactly what's involved in that.
Sometimes they'll write it off, but you're right. Sometimes they'll want it back later, but it shows that you tried to work with the bank, and that probably will help you in the long run.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm going to reach out to him then, because as soon as I heard this, I thought, that sounds exactly like what Mary and Rebecca were talking about, that it's because, and all the things that you said is exactly, they reached out for help but they were embarrassed, and they, not only was the mortgage behind, but they were behind on utilities, and it just kind of snowballed.
Well, and it definitely snowballs, because when you're behind, then there's late fees and the interest continues to accumulate. And what you got to understand about the lenders, they loaned you the money. They want to make their goal is to make money. They want to make money on the interest.
They really don't want your property.
They don't want your property. They don't want to be in the real estate business. They will make more money working with you to sell it or to restructure the loan than if they have to foreclose, because when they foreclose, then they've got to pay somebody to go in there and take care of the house, especially if you're, heading into winter, they've got to pay somebody to mow the lawn. They have to then pay whoever is going to handle the sale of the property. It's just a big hassle. Lender would always rather you stay in the home and are able to make payments, or sell the home and go ahead and get their money back. They'd rather you stay in the home, because they're going to make money on interest. They stop making money on interest when the home gets sold and they get their money back. So they want to work with you. They may seem like your enemy, and that person, at the collections office that calls you, they don't directly work for your lender. Their job is to get the money back if they can.
Right.
But your lender is going to make more money if they work with you than if they come and take your keys.
Okay. So. Well, and that's encouraging, because again, you hear those situations and you think, man, what could I do for them? And I think maybe making sure that she has your numbers will be the best thing in the world.
At least let us investigate it and see what we can do. Because we've had good success in a lot of situations like that. I would
love to see that would be wonderful.
We love success stories.
Yeah, for sure. We need to pause for a second. We're talking all about the real estate market, and we've got in the house with us Barry and Rebecca Richards, one of our original sponsors and longtime friends, and of course, one of the sponsors is the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. We do want to kind of mention some of the lineups that we've got confirmed for that, but they are now with Exit Prime Realty. They had a name change, so we wanted to bring them in here to explain themselves, right? To explain what's behind the name change. What's behind that? But we do need to talk about another sponsor, Cumberland Connect.
Oh, love it.
I love Cumberland Connect.
Yes.
And the importance of having, if we had gotten Cumberland Connect a few years ago, I could have gotten my one of my son that's in Mount Juliet to settle out here, but he has to have high-speed internet. He works for HCA and works from home some, and he's got to have connectivity because, I mean, when they need him, they need him. And he has to have good connectivity, and now we have it. And we have amazing. You can get a gig for $80. And I love my children say, Mother, you don't need a gig. That's like filling a bathtub with a fire hose. I'm like, but I can get a gig for $80. So why can't, and then they'll say, you don't need a gig. And I'm like, well, what do you have? Well, we have a gig. And it's like, well, if you've got it, I want it too. So it's wonderful. But if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, this is the best news. If you're a Cumberland Electric customer, everybody is going to have access to high-speed internet, and you can get a gig for $80. Now, if that sounds like a lot, and you know, somebody like, talking about my friend that has gotten behind on some stuff and is struggling, that's a real thing. And if you qualify, they have the Affordable Connectivity Program, and you could qualify for up to $30 per month to help pay for broadband services because it's now a utility. It has replaced our phone lines. And if you do qualify, then they've got packages starting at just $30 per month. They're going to get everybody connected, and they're getting very close to getting everybody access through Cumberland Electric. They're facilitating it, but it's Cumberland Connect. Kerry Roberts has it now, so our senator has it, and we figured he was at the last on the list, but there's a few still that haven't gotten their connection yet, but we're getting really close. I talked to them a couple of weeks ago, and they said, not quite there yet, but we are getting very close. If you need to know more, go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. Just put in your address, and it'll tell you when they're going to be there, and they're probably already in your neighborhood. You need to check it out. Or you can give them a call at 800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362. You know what to tell them. Always, please let them know that U-Turn sent you. And getting back into our show now, talking with my friends, Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. I got to get that. Get that
in the rhythm of that.
There you go.
And I'm not here to talk about all your sponsors, but that Cumberland Connect spot ring, that means a lot for home values.
You better believe, yeah. And I mean, and that's something that you and I have talked about, that it is huge, because it really totally, when my kids were early in their marriage, the one that married first, it's got 3 kids and all that, I think they would have considered this area.
Yeah.
If we had the connectivity, and there was just no way, because I can't remember what he exactly does. He was a systems engineer, and now he's like something to do with the cloud. I don't really understand. I don't know.
It's like our son's job. We don't know what he does.
I don't know what he does. It's technical,
he gets paid, so
and it's, it's a very good job, and we're very proud of him, and it's something to do with cloud distribution or something. I don't know.
But there's so many people that work. So many people work from home, and so many people have grown accustomed to having high-speed internet that when you put them, now, I will say that there are, some other options that weren't around a few years ago is from the cell phone companies, but they're nothing compared to Cumberland Connect. And if you're looking in areas outside of the CEMC footprint, up in Kentucky, over in the other side of Sumner County, other co-ops have really good, and when you can find that fiber optic service, right to your door, that makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to sell your house. Because that's one of the first questions people ask is, what kind of internet can I get? It means everything to some people.
Back in the day, it's like, do we have electricity out here?
Do we have water?
Yeah,
there's water at the road.
Yeah. Do you have a water tap? Yeah. I mean, I had a friend talking about having to dig a well the other day. I was like, God bless you, I don't have to. And we actually, on my road, I've actually been talking to him about, getting another water tap on my property. And I thought I'll let my kids do that if they build. I'm not going to do that anticipating. If they want it, they better get moving in case they get sold out. But, I just, that's a huge thing too. Do you have to have, a well? But are there a lot of properties that still have to have wells? I mean,
there are some. That's interesting you ask about that because, and you just touched on do I need to get a water tap? Because the water department, utilities have to, they can't give out so many taps on a road that only has a certain diameter pipe. Yeah. And right now in the north and east of Portland, over in Sumner County, that Portland water has had for now over a year a water moratorium, a moratorium on new taps.
Yeah.
And they've gotten some grants over there to expand that, and we're keeping a close eye on it, hoping that they're going to loosen the belt a little bit in the short term, because there's a lot of people with land that they would love to build on
or sell it
or divide it and sell it, and it's just not practical because everybody would have to have a well. And well's not cheap. It's not bad to have, but you don't want to, if you can avoid it, you don't want to be dependent on it. So
yeah, and I mean, having grown up on a farm, now the farm I grew up on in Kentucky, there was like an underground spring. I mean, it was wonderful water. That's not a perfect, you don't find that in a lot of places. We were very fortunate, and they've just got a wonderful water source, but you just never know. Now there's an old well on our property that, cause we've filled it in and everything. So I know it's there, but we're also next to the wastewater plant.
Yeah.
So do you really?
Yeah, that's up to you.
Have that?
Have that water tested.
I don't know. The wastewater plant's been a wonderful neighbor to us, and but I don't know that I really want to dig a well next to it. I don't know. I'm just thinking now.
Well, if you did, you would definitely want to test it yearly.
Yeah, thank you. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. But we're up the creek from them. I mean, our creek flows past them, so I'd probably be fine. But I'm teasing. But and we had neighbors just recently. Looks like they're going to be building a house next to us, and I think it's because the water taps have been released.
Oh,
I would imagine.
Good.
Yeah. But I know when the family that bought the property next to us and then across the street from us, there was only one house that could be built.
Yeah.
And now it's opened up.
And now they've got the capacity to add taps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're watching to see what they're going to build next door. So, we don't have any idea.
And
they're going to build I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful home, just like the brother built.
Well, and before you divide up the family farm to sell it off to, somebody, you might want to investigate that. What is the water department going to allow me to do as far as adding water taps on my road?
As far as I'm concerned, as long as I live there, maybe one or two of my kids might come in and build if they can work it out and all of that. But I ain't going nowhere, not unless the good Lord makes me. I know. Don't never say never, but I don't anticipate that happening. But we're talking with Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty. That is the new name of the company. And again, Google them. You'll find them very quickly and easily. But now let's go ahead and give out phone numbers again, just so people can write them down. And if you've got some of these scenarios, the economy's been tough. People get behind. If you've got somebody that's dealing with this, like, this person that I found out about this weekend, I don't think they would ever think about calling a realtor. That is just, the first time y'all mentioned that to me, I was like, really?
Why would I call a realtor?
Yeah.
Because they think it's too late.
Yeah.
It's because it's so scary. Yeah.
And so if you've got somebody who's in a situation with a home, don't just be like, oh, I don't have any choice.
Yeah.
You do. You don't have to be homeless. There are some options, and you need to start by calling a realtor right now. So, Rebecca, what's your number?
My number is 615-504-7425. And call. I mean, because we're a good source. I always tell people when I'm reaching out, because I make calls every day. Mm-hmm. I see people on my website. If you just have a question about real estate, or, you're in a scary situation, we're happy to answer questions or send you to people. If we don't know the answer, send you to somebody that has the answer.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And how about you, Barry? How they can get in touch with you?
615-504-7424.
Okay. Do it one more time.
615-504-7424.
Okay. And what have you got there?
I got the printout of the bands appearing.
Oh, we're just going to jump because we've only got about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
I looked at my watch. I said, well, we got to talk some more about the festival.
Well, because we could talk a lot. We're friends. We can just chit chat. But, and again, because this person, came into my line of sight this weekend, I just thought, it's perfect time because Barry and Rebecca's going to be in. But anyway, and I appreciate that good information because I think it might help her. So Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, the 17th and 18th of May. Cannot wait. Which one are we on? Is this 9th, 10th? See, I'm asking you questions you don't know. We have the year that will not be mentioned.
The first one was it 2017? 2013, the first one. So is it 11 years? We'll have to ask Faye. She can tell us.
I think because we actually missed
missed one.
We missed one. So this is actually maybe the 11th year, but the 10th festival.
Maybe so.
Maybe.
We've got them all. We have all the posters at City Hall.
T-shirts.
Go count the T-shirts.
Yeah, I think we might be at the 10th festival, but we're our 11th year because we have the year that will not be mentioned. That we all just kind of like, what do we do?
So make plans for May 17th and 18th. May 17th, Friday night, we're going to do the Dan Kelly Junior Fiddle Contest. That's for 14 and under on Friday evening starting at 5 with classes for fiddle, clogging, and beginner musician. That's any instrument. We changed it last year to this format and it worked really well. Cheryl Chun and Larry, they're helping out with that competition.
They're so fun.
And then, and for folks that don't know, Larry and Cheryl are part of the Opry Square Dance crew. They will then head up the Big Barn Dance, which is a hoot on Friday night. So come out. It's a spectator sport as well as
hoot.
Yeah,
I love it.
But if you know how to square dance, great. If you don't, we're going to teach you.
Yeah.
And it's a world-class fiddle band that's playing live music for this square dance, and it's not putting the record on.
It's fabulous.
It really is something else, and it's fun for everybody. $10 admission gets you in both Friday night and Saturday, and then come back on Saturday. I think on Saturday right now we're tentatively looking at starting at 11. We might do something before that, but. We're going to have, we've got a bunch of great bands. Green River Review, it's their first time playing in this certain formation of them. You'll recognize some of the musicians in Green River Review. A young band from over in east of here, Tri-State Ramblers, are going to play. And we're going to welcome back some other bands that people become familiar with. You had Cutter and Cash and the Kentucky Grass on their social media. It says it's what were they last year? It was
I can't remember, but yeah,
Classy and Grassy.
Yes,
that's what they were last year.
Yes.
But they're Cutter and Cash and the Kentucky Grass will be back again with Noah and Lily Goebel, who are local folks that we love very much and are just fantastic musicians. Ridgetop Ramblers, of course, will be there, and as I already mentioned, Larry and Cheryl Chun, their band A Step Ahead, will be both their Friday night. Kind of Larry and Cheryl will be helping out there, and then they'll be performing on Saturday. They'll have to perform early enough that they can leave and get to the Opry.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. They're fun. They're a lot of fun. It's going to be a great show. And I like that we're starting at 11. That, I think it will help our crowd.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, and what we did last year, and we're doing that again this year, we had maybe one band last year that did 2 sets, but everybody's doing 1 set. If you're a fan of, for instance, Sugar Ridge, we're going to be publishing when they're going to play. You can come. You're guaranteed to see all of their greatest hits, and of course, you're welcome to come early, stay late. But I think that's what people like. They like to come see their favorite band, and if they want to hang around, they will. And if they don't, they go home. So
right, and so it's a little different than what we've done. Because it was pretty much we'd start and then everybody would repeat, and so it's a different structure. And I think it's got some. I think it's really.
We're real pleased with it.
I think it's going to work. I think
Absolutely
it's going to work. So I'm excited. I'm excited to know that I get to be there all day. I was really afraid I was going to have to jump out for a birthday party, but.
And I want to say something too. Okay. I know we got to go, but the city of Cross Plains has approved the funding. They are renovating the barn.
Ooh.
It's going to be really fresh and new. We'll have concrete ramps instead of those with the nails popping up. And the funds have been allocated. We're not 100% sure if it'll be in place by the festival, but we're fingers crossed that we're going to have restrooms.
What? No more portless. That would be wonderful. What about our sound guys, though?
Yes, JBM Sound will be back.
Are they?
They're
really
doing very limited number of events, but we're one. In fact,
that's wonderful.
David was telling me they're doing very few outdoor events just because that's such a challenge. But they're up to the challenge for us.
Yeah, because they love us and we love them. Well, that's wonderful. That's good news because I was going to be sad if we didn't get to have them, and I wasn't sure after last year. I wasn't sure if they were going to continue. Oh, God bless them. That's wonderful. It's going to be fun. Oh my goodness! Tell them your phone numbers one more time. Do them twice.
Barry Richards. You can call me at 615-504-RICH. 7424 spells Rich. Richards. Okay. I'm not Rich.
I got you. I got you. I'm with you.
And okay. Rebecca?
I'm Rebecca Richards, 615-504-7425. That is 615-504-7425. And it stands for sick. Is that
yes,
what you did?
If you are sick of renting, call Rebecca at 504-SICK.
I love it. I love it. Barry and Rebecca Richards, and they were with Exit Prime Realty. The name change, they have explained it very well this morning. Thank you for being with us. And again, save the date. Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival is coming up May 17th and 18th, and they'll be there. I'll be there. It's going to be fun. God bless y'all. Have a great day. This is 1100 WSGI.